began to spin. A system of cells interlinked within cells, interlinked within cells, interlinked within one stem. And dreadfully distinct against the dark, a tall white fountain played.
What is up, Theron Nation? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Blade Runner. Now, I just got home, not from seeing the movie. It is Friday the 13th today. I just got home from Eric's house. If you want to see what was up with all of that, see all of that video, the link is in the description to that vlog. That vlog is on my vlog channel now. And as an update to all of you subscribers that are still here, this channel is going to have very infrequent videos on it. This week will be a bit hectic because there's the Friday the 13th video, the Blade Runner review, and the 600 subscriber special, and the Emoji Movie review, so you guys are going to enjoy those. The reason I'm reviewing the Emoji Movie I'll talk about in the future, but for now let's just get right into the Blade Runner review. So for starters, I want to give you guys a brief synopsis of the film. Blade Runner 2049 is an investigative film, investigative film following Ryan Gosling's character, who we come to know as Joe, and Harrison Ford's character. I don't want to go too in depth with anything to really spoil it, but it's a very smart movie. Doesn't explain anything, and it's a sci-fi film. Not an action sci-fi, not like Total Recall or Star Wars. It's very thought-provoking and deep, as opposed to a bit more shallow sci-fi that you would normally get nowadays. That's the synopsis. Let's move on to the next part. So, the first thing that I want to talk about with you guys, is the sequel. Blade Runner 2050. 2051, 2052. Is there going to be a sequel? I feel like that is the biggest question that you guys should have for me. And I got to tell you, there is not going to be a sequel. Now, I might be wrong. But I can almost guarantee you there will not be a sequel for Blade Runner 2049. It was a standalone film. They made it to finish off the saga because it wasn't necessarily open-ended at the end of the last one. It didn't need a sequel, but obviously it was going to happen. So a director came in and he was like, listen guys, I can make this good. Let me make this good. They let him make it good. He finished it off. 3-hour masterpiece, as Dunkey would say. Yeah, there is no sequel. So if you're thinking that this film is going to start up a franchise or something, that is not a thing. Okay? That's not a thing. That's one of the best parts of the film. Let's move on to the next part, the acting. Alright guys, now I'm realizing that the lighting may not be the best here, but what you guys got to do is you got to hear me. I'm going to make an attempt to put this Blade Runner review with a lot of clips. So we're going to be talking about the acting now. But yeah, I just wanted to say we've changed location, and hopefully you won't see much of me. I don't know how well I'm going to edit this, but hopefully you won't see much of me. So the acting in this movie. Ryan Gosling does a fantastic job. And I honestly can't think of a time when he hasn't done a fantastic job. He's a good actor. Harrison Ford, without spoiling anything by making a comment about his acting, he does a fantastic job as well. This is probably his best performance. Episode 7 felt a little bit phoned in. I mean, it wasn't phoned in. He did a good job. But I mean, his last films were like Episode 7 and Crystal Skull, to my memory. And this stands out as one of his best performances, if not his best performance. I'm sure that some massive Harrison Ford fan will tell me in the comments that he's had some better film, but this stands out to me as the best performance I've seen Harrison Ford give. The best performance I've seen Ryan Gosling give. Robin Wright from House of Cards, fantastic throughout this film. Everyone in this film does a very good job. From the cinematography to the sound to the acting to just every facet of this film is insanely well done. If you're a Blade Runner fan, you're going to love this film. Now let's move on to the next segment. Hey guys, now we got to talk about the sound in this film. Woo! That's sound, that's noise, that's unnecessary. This film, originally, while I was watching it, I thought, God, I'm going to have to take off points for this sound. There was a lot of constant background noise, loud, throbbing, like your ears were throbbing from this background noise, like cars starting up and in the background constantly. And I felt it wasn't necessary while watching the film. That's because I have a little bit of sensitive hearing. I don't like car races, stuff like that. However, the audio, very well done. Very good in comparison to the original. They're very in sync. It feels like a sequel made, other than the visuals obviously, it feels like a sequel made literally just after the original one, which is always good. You always want to feel like your film matches up, just like Star Wars, the music matches up with the previous ones. This one did the same thing. And I'm pretty sure they've got a completely new, I should have looked, but I'm pretty sure they've got a completely new sound designer and sound team and everything, and a composer. And I think he did a fantastic job of composing this film. So, that's another positive for them. Let's move on to the next segment. Technology, guys. This film is all about technology, and a lot of other people have covered this point, so I'm going to cover it as briefly as possible. The technology in this film is not modern sci-fi as you would expect it. It is not Star Wars Millennium Falcon style. It is what Blade Runner originally saw as the future, advanced further into the future. Atari is a conglomerate. Sony is a conglomerate. I mean, they made the film, obviously. But all of these companies that were big in the 80s are even bigger in 2050. Some of them died off, like Atari was super weird to see, but it makes sense because they were big in the 80s when this film was originally made. It feels like the vision for the future evolved as opposed to a modern day vision of the future, which would be a lot more positive, I would say. They did have a lot of stuff, though, that kind of modernized it, like solar plants. I can't remember solar plants in the original, but they might have had them, might be in the lore. But this one had solar plants, and I thought, hey, that's a little bit weird, to be honest. But it's futuristic. Got to give them props for the way that they evolved the technology in this. Let's move on to one of the later segments now. So, this is a big one, my friends. I want to talk about Arrival, right? The film that came before this one. Now, the Blade Runner director, Denis Villeneuve, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, and hopefully I'm thinking of the right guy, because I mix up the director of Arrival, the director of Ex Machina, and the director of Fifth Element. I mix those three up, because they have kind of weird names. They're kind of unknown, and they're all making fantastic sci-fi. Anyway, moving on. Arrival was the last film that I saw from this guy, and I gushed about that film. That was my film of 2016. That was my underrated film of 2016. Obviously, I loved Rogue One. I loved a lot of films in 2016, but Arrival was my sci-fi. I loved it. Ex Machina was 2015, and then 2016 was Arrival, and now 2017 is Blade Runner 2049. Now, The Last Jedi might take that from Blade Runner. It's likely with the way that it's looking. But in terms of quality, I'm talking about, Episode 7 was not my film of 2015. It was fun, but it was not. It was an 8/9. It was an 8/9 out of 10, and that's nostalgia talking. Ex Machina, no nostalgia, fantastic film. Arrival, no nostalgia, fantastic film. Blade Runner, no nostalgia. I'd never seen the original, fantastic film. I mean, obviously I watched the original before watching the new one. I'm talking a lot to try and keep this video as short as possible for you guys. My point here is that Arrival was a fantastic film. Blade Runner was even better. This guy is on a hot streak. Whatever Denis Villeneuve does next, we have to support him on. Blade Runner is not making that much money. And that's a massive problem in my eyes. It should make the amount of... It should at least break even and be critically acclaimed. It is currently critically acclaimed. So if it breaks even, then he can say, look, it's a cult film. Everyone loves it, but it's not a film for everyone. And they can say, okay, you can make whatever you want next. The problem is, if this film doesn't break even, he might be restricted on his next film to a budget because he hasn't proven that he can make bank now. So if you haven't seen this film, you, Nathan, Eric, anyone watching this that hasn't seen the new Blade Runner, that likes sci-fi, you like good movies, go watch this because we need to support this guy. And if you haven't seen Arrival, go watch that because it's just as good as any sci-fi film that's come out in the last 10 years. It's probably one of the better ones. Let's move on to one of the final segments now, guys. Alright, guys. The visuals in this film are phenomenal. I mean, you've seen from all of the images that I used in this thing, one of which was a fan poster, but the rest were taken directly from the film. I mean, shots like this and this. Just, this film is very well shot, very well put together graphically, with fantastic visuals, CGI, practical effects. Everything is insanely well done. Obviously, they had the budget, and obviously they used it insanely effectively. If you are thinking there might be a problem with this, which I don't know how you can, I mean, you look at the trailers, but I do want to point it out. The visuals are fantastic in this film. That's all we got to say on this point. Let's just move on to the closing, okay, guys? Alright, so in closing, Blade Runner 2049 is so far the best sci-fi film I have seen in cinemas. Critically. Now, I use the word critically because the best sci-fi film I've seen commercially, as in enjoyment-wise, Episode 7. But this film made me think. When it finished, just like Mother, which I've talked about in the past, this film made me think. I was sitting in the cinema looking at the credits thinking, wow, what does that mean? Did I enjoy that? Did I love it? And then when I was driving home, I was thinking, still, what did I miss something in that film? Then when I got home, even when I was writing up this review, I was thinking, did I miss something? This film leaves you with a sense of melancholy when you're done. It doesn't feel finished. And I think that's the best part of this film, of any film. You watch it, and you're not done. You want to keep thinking about it. You want to investigate the meaning behind the film. And that's really important nowadays. To me, to you, to everyone. You don't want to, everyone loves going into a Fast and Furious, watching the movie and coming out and being like, yeah, bro, that was cool. But this film really makes you think. And I'm going to talk about spoilers after this, so you guys can close off once I finish this statement. But Blade Runner 2049 is one of the best films I've seen in a long time. And one of the best things about cinema at the moment is, this is not the first time I've said this. I've said this a lot. I said this with Mother. I mean, it wasn't the best film I'd ever seen, but it made me think a lot. I said this with Guardians 2, my review, link in the description. I've said this with a lot of films, because a lot of films are good nowadays. That's it, guys. If you like this video, leave a like, comment below what you thought of this thing, of Blade Runner 2049, and subscribe. Now, I'm going to put in some spoilers here, so run from the spoilers, guys. Harrison Ford was not in this film, at all, right? That was a bit weird, I thought. I mean, he was in it for 30 minutes at most. I mean, we got to this point in the film, and I checked my watch. I checked my phone clock. I was like, shit, this film's been going for 2.5 hours and Harrison Ford has not appeared. They mentioned him once, but he hasn't appeared. Now, that ending was well done. That's the only spoiler that I'm going to give. So if you did watch this part and you got spoiled by that, you got that spoiled for you, it's alright. All you know is that Harrison Ford isn't in this movie very much. Jared Leto is fantastic. I forgot to mention him, but, you know, overall, this is a fantastic movie. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, click the things in the end card. I will see you soon.
When I first saw Blade Runner, I was stunned. Ridley Scott's vision struck so many chords. I could immediately recognize its impact on the entire cinematic world. Now, I have been given the amazing opportunity to continue the story and direct Blade Runner 2049.